are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. So I guess just to start us off, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe tell us a little bit about your music, just for in case anyone hasn't heard it before.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Ava Kay. I'm born and raised Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I started off my career as a songwriter mainly, writing for different pop artists, and it transitioned into um, being a live performing artist with a project called Boss and Swan. I got to tour quite a bit with that, and then I then transitioned into film scoring. So where I'm at right now is kind of a combination of being an artist, a singer-songwriter artist, as well as a film composer.
Mm. So what's it like writing for other people versus yourself?
Oh, it's very different.
Yeah.
The process is the same in the sense that you still have to write a song and like lyrics, chord structures and stuff. But I think when you're writing for yourself, you can kind of veer off and make it a little bit maybe less conventional if you choose to, if that's the kind of music you're trying to make. When I was writing for other artists, which I still do actually, it's very structured and like very like radio friendly. So, there's lots more factors to think about in terms of lyric and structure. Yeah. And for me, I'm more into a little bit more ambient singer songwriter, kind of film score. So I kind of can go off and do those different types of moments if I choose to.
Mhm. So when you write for yourself, you kind of try to pull some more personal subject matter and kind of talk about more about your own experiences.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so my second question for you, how did you come to be associated with women in the studio?
You know what? I actually just saw the program online. I saw this, thing. I think it was on social media, and I basically saw that I had a friend of a friend who had done it in the previous year. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I had a chat with her. Her name is Carmen, and she said it was an amazing program that supported women in like a really tactile and like productive manner. So I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So I applied, and yeah, and I got in. So I it was really on a whim. Like I just happened to see it online.
Oh, that's amazing, and you're enjoying it so far?
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool. It's really a great environment
Mhm.
for other women like myself and other women to kind of get together and just have those conversations that, about being a woman in this industry, but as well as supporting each other in terms of, songwriting and production. And it's a nice community feel for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Have you gotten the chance to kind of talk to any other women on the project and kind of get to know them a little bit?
You know what? A little bit. Like right now, we're still early on in the program, and with COVID, obviously, we haven't been able to like get to meet each other in person. So, and lots of us are in different places in Canada. So, I have had a few kind of Zooms and catch ups and starting to collaborate with the other females or women in the program. So we're just, I feel like we're getting there. We haven't quite fully gotten there yet, and but I'm very excited to do that for sure.
Oh, amazing. The next question I have for you. How does composing compare to your personal songwriting? So, what skills can you use for both, and what skills do you kind of have to individualize for both composing and songwriting?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about it before, but if I were to think about it, my main instrument is the piano. So regardless if I'm writing a song, a pop song, or like a singer-songwriter song or a film score, I'm always starting with the piano. So that's one thing that I know for sure is in common. And I kind of live and breathe on the piano in terms of creating everything that I do. In terms of developing like a full score for a movie, it's different in the sense that at that point, once you start like writing your different themes and your cues for the scenes, you're now going to the visual of the movie basically and adapting to visuals. And at that point, you're either adding more production or less, or sometimes you're free flowing to the scene. You know, you're just kind of playing along and kind of feeling out the scene in the movie. So it's a very different collaborative process in the sense that, like, if I'm writing for an artist per se, they're in the room and we're bouncing off of each other. When you're writing for film or TV, you're writing, like, you're collaborating with the visual content. So that I like to say that would be the biggest, difference between the two. And I often have been asked to write like songs for the movie as well. So I kind of get to tap in and, my songwriting experience and, like, and kind of bring that forth, which is always fun. But yeah, so I think that's it. I don't know if I answered it fully, but
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
amazing. So when you say you like live and breathe piano and that's your root, was piano your first instrument, or is it just kind of it's your first instrument?
It's my first and pretty much my only. I did play trumpet at one point, and I did when I was touring or like doing more live shows, I would pick up the guitar and, I practiced to make sure I knew one or two songs just to change it up. But I haven't toured in a while, and I just and I know the piano, the instrument, generally way better than the guitar. So but I probably should pick up my guitar and start,
Trumpet's
relearning.
hard. You need a diaphragm for that, like so much air control. That's
Oh
a
god, yeah,
hard one.
yeah.
And my next question, so tell us about some of your early influences and what drove you to pursue a career in music.
Um, I think I was very curious at a young age, with music, specifically in the piano. Like, my older sisters would, they were in the Royal Conservatory doing like their classes, and I was a lot younger than them, and I was always like wanting to do what they were doing. So I was very fascinated with the piano. So I actually self-taught piano player because I would just like listen to what they would do and try to mimic it. And then as I just grew older, I started to like play around with like lyrics and just, you know, it just kind of came to me. But I'm realizing I'm not answering the question fully. I have to say, I think my earliest inspiration was my father because he's a singer and a poet, and he always had art in the house, and there's always a piano. So it allowed me to go there. Like, it allowed me to experience that at a young age. And then actually getting into the industry, my brother is also a DJ, and he had a song that he got signed to the Ministry of Sound, and I just kind of like, I didn't even know I can sing, and one day, like, I just came up with a song on top of it, and then it just worked. And so from there, I kind of got that like taste of like what it would be to actually release songs or like release music, and then it kind of snowballed from there.
Oh, some good stuff. Also, never be scared to go off on a tangent. It's perfect.
Oh, I'm
Good.
kind of like, I don't know. Am I talking too much? I don't know.
No, 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 don't worry about it. Honestly, I love when people talk more because I'm like, oh, you make my job so much easier. Okay, so out of your hugely impressive repertoire of compositions, which one excited you the most?
Oh wow, thank you. I have to say, my experience working with ATB when I was in the Boston Swan project, that was like a bit of a whirlwind situation where we kind of had this song. It got landed in a movie, and this movie, fast forward a year, or I guess 6 or 7 months, it was in an airplane, like in the airplane content movies, and ATB, who's like a really like German, like very famous DJ, he heard the song in the movie randomly, and he's like, it's so weird because I never watch horror movies, and for some reason I watched this movie. Like, he never, he was just later on telling us how funny it was that he watched it. Anyway, he basically reached out and asked us to like work on his project. So we flew to Germany and we worked with him, and that experience with him was amazing because, one, he's like incredible. Like, he's just such a force, and just working with him and that experience was amazing. And the song that actually there was 3 songs on that album that we did, and yeah, that was definitely a moment in time on a project that really really stood out for me.
That's exciting. Did you like Germany? Did you get to sightsee at all?
Not really. We only went to Dusseldorf,
Mhm.
and then without saying too much information about a location, it was like a town kind of near there, and we were there for about a week. And it's so interesting because like Germany is very rich with like art culture, and I've never been to Berlin, and like I never went back to really like explore it, which was definitely one of my, it's on my to-do list, because I'd love to go back. But oftentimes with like when you're like touring or on writing trips, it's so hard to get the tourist or like the sightseeing stuff in it. It really, you have to make time for it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't think that's kind of being artistic. I don't think that's specific to Germany either. All of Europe is just insanely artistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful place. Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
my next question, your single "Wild Again" has been well received over the last few months. How does it feel to be breaking out as a solo artist?
It's very cool. Yeah, I've been very fortunate, getting a lot of positive feedback. For me, I released the solo music because I guess I wanted people to know who Ava Kay was outside of, Boston Swan, or outside of a film composer. Because even as my film composer name, I'm well, not always, but it's like my real last name, which is Kabbalion. So I was like, how do I define like Ava Kay? So I released it, to kind of close the loop on like what it is that I do, what kind of sound am I. So when people would, go online and search for me, they would have a more tactile like understanding, or they would immediately go, okay, that's her sound. So I am been really really happy with the results, and I do have a single coming up, my second single in October, and I'm very excited about it.
Ooh, that is exciting. And that ties in pretty well with my next question because your composer persona and then your solo artist persona. Do you feel like those are just two parts of one whole, or do they compete with each other at all?
I think that they're two parts of one whole. Like I think generally when when you work with me, you do get a set, like you do get what I offer, which is, songwriting, lyric melodies, and this film score is definitely different from the artist side, but I have incorporated it into my sound. So I kind of like to say that my music, like my artistic, like sorry, my artist side music is cinematic pop, if that makes sense. That's how I've kind of defined it, because I wanted to bridge the gap between those two sounds, like classic songwriting and cinema, basically.
Um, so now that you're at the start of your solo career, I have to ask, what kind of platform and sound do you want to build for yourself? And do you have any long-term goals you're looking to achieve?
Um, yeah, I think my goals are to obviously release more music to get more content out there. And I, because my sound does lean more towards film and TV, I'm, obviously trying to just get more placements in the film and TV side of things, and just further dig in my heels into what I've been doing, just trying to create more of a path, that is also a path of longevity as well.
Yeah, just making music because that's what you love to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, my next one here is, so heard that there are some new music around the corner, like you just said. What can we expect from when you eventually drop your first album? Are there going to be any reoccurring sounds, themes, or tones to it?
Yeah, definitely. Very similar to Wild Again. It's cinematic pop. I do have a piano instrumental in my EP, and then I have like a few, like a bit of a mix of like quirky sounds as well, in some of the production. But generally, it should feel very similar in mood. I spoke to someone there, and they said it was kind of like, you have a glass of wine by the fire, evening kind of, sound and feel. And I tend to agree. It would, the whole project would, is, feels like that. It's kind of like cozy, relaxing, meditative music.
Yeah, it's amazing. And do you feel, I guess it's in the progress right now. Are you kind of looking forward to eventually releasing it into the world?
Yes, I actually wanted to release my second single by, I think Wild Again we released in February, and I wanted to release the next single by like May, and it just delayed. So now I'm like, okay, everyone, like, let's get it going. So I think after I release the second single, I'll probably release the EP very shortly after that. I'm also looking forward to actually creating like more songs and adding to it, and hopefully releasing a full length album.
Amazing. Are you planning on kind of releasing any music videos with the EP? Is that something you're thinking about?
Yeah, yeah. So for the next single, I'm in the process of putting together the video. I have a really great colleague and collaborator that I work with who's gonna put together the video, and we're literally in the process of just in emails coming up with ideas, figuring out who the team will be, and yeah, it's interesting because a lot of my songs do have a kind of like a true to life storytelling, and I always kind of feel like it's easy for my music to be a bit because it's not straight ahead pop, it is kind of like cinematic and like moody and feel. It's really easy for the video to kind of lean into a moody kind of darker like storytelling. But I'm like on this one I'm trying to like make it more of like an uplifting, more relatable, subject matter, because sometimes it could be a bit abstract, especially if I get talking about life and stuff. I I can go really abstract. So but yeah, so we're just trying to figure out what we land on right now.
Great. And with music videos, do you like being in front of the camera? Is that something that you're super comfortable with, or?
You know what? Like I'm comfortable with it.
Mm,
I actually do like it. I've shot a few in my lifetime, but I don't know that I need to be in the video. Like this next one, I don't know that I'll be in it. Because I kind of want to tell a story, a very specific story. And the last video that we did, Wild Again, what I released wasn't exactly what I had planned on releasing. I had a way more elaborate storyline, and just with some constraints, I just ended up releasing what we did. But so we'll see. I am comfortable though doing it if I have to.
you kind of want the focus to be the music rather than the video? No, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
My second last question here. So, what is the most important thing you've learned about yourself as an artist since releasing this single?
Oh, that's a good question. What have I learned? That I'm really bad at promoting myself. That I need like help with that for sure. I think, when you're putting together music and stuff, you want like the world to love it, and you want people to really like embrace everything. And I think I realized with this project, it was more about me just doing it for me and just putting it out there versus worrying about how it would be received. So I think what I learned is that I actually really love the former, in the sense that that feeling of like I just put it out there for me. There's no pressure or expectation, and I like the concept of letting like the universe do its work versus trying to predict how everything's gonna go.
So, when you say you're bad at promoting yourself, is that kind of like social media or like reaching out to magazines and music blogs and stuff like that?
Yeah, generally I'm awful at it. Like people who are very close to me will be like, "Oh, you worked on that project?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "I had no idea." So I just don't really like talk about, the work I've done that much, or like, and with my single, it's true. Like obviously whoever's on social media would have seen it, but there's other people who, like just family or whatever. I just don't tend to promote it. And you're right. Yeah, like, reaching out to different labels and stuff like that.
Oh, I don't know. I thought your social media was nice. I had to stalk
Yeah.
you to make all these
Okay.
questions. I thought it was
That's
very
good.
well. Laid out. I've
Okay.
seen some that I'm like, no, they haven't posted in 100 weeks. I'm like, are you still making music? You
Yeah,
never
I
know.
know. I know. You have to try. Like you have to do a little bit at least, you know. But
Mhm.
think that's a good vote of confidence because I'm like, oh, someone's like
Awesome,
paying
so good.
attention and it's okay.
Also behind you, is this kind of your home music studio or is it for personal use or?
Yeah, so I've had to relocate to my parents' home, but I used to have a studio in downtown Toronto. But so this here is like my piano. I don't know if you could see it.
Hmm.
And then the studio is like here. I don't think I can reverse the camera on this, but I just have too many plugs in my computer to like fully turn this around. But basically, like behind here is my studio. You know, I have like my gear kind of beside me and my keyboards and stuff. And
Yeah,
then
was
the
that
back
hard
is,
to move all of it? It was, did you have to move the piano too? Oh
yeah,
my
I
goodness.
did. And sorry, behind me is just like stuff I have not unpacked, but
It's okay, we can't see it. We only
okay, I
see
know.
kind of.
I had more boxes and I actually like pulled them down. I don't know. I was like, ah, how do I hide the boxes? Yeah, the piano was funny because it had to come down some stairs, and these guys, I just thought they were gonna, I thought one of them was gonna get crushed by the piano.
um,
But it's a like pianos are extremely heavy, but this is a very small piano, so it was manageable. Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know. I really like the layout. You have the little head decor. It's very cute.
Oh yeah. I know. I'm gonna like figure it out. And these like I have to change these drapes, but yeah, I have some artwork like in front of me to kind of inspire me. Yeah, yeah, it's coming together.
Lovely. I have one last question for you. So, since this is Woman in the Studio, what does the world need to know about Canadian female artists?
They need to know that they are extremely talented, focused, very sure of themselves. And I think that we're seeing a lot of progress being made with women in music generally, and especially in Canada. So I think the world needs to brace themselves. 'Cause,
Mhm.
I think that they're going to really make a really big rise soon, and they already have been for a long time. And it's programs like music publishers of Canada and Women in the Studio that are allowing us to not be afraid to shine.
No, yeah, it's amazing. They're so driven, and I know that the world has to get ready for them.
Yep, that's right.